Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald of Second Swing Golf here in the tour van at Second Swing Minnetonka, joined by Jake Montgomery, fitting manager at our Minneapolis store. We have a fun head-to-head driver test today, kind of going into the past about 5 years ago. I've got the TaylorMade SIM Max, and you've got the 2024 TaylorMade Qi10. So some things have changed, some things have stayed the same. You look at these, the shape is actually pretty similar.
It is.
You kind of see back with SIM, this inertia generator was kind of its first iteration. You can kind of see that shape still prevalent in the Qi10 a little bit, maybe not as pronounced, and among some other technology still there. We can talk about twist face, shaping, but obviously nowadays the all carbon thing is the key feature on the TaylorMade driver. So Jake, talk to me about what you've seen both with Qi10 this year in fittings, and then also kind of what you just think of the SIM series now, basically 5 years later.
100%. So with the Qi10, I mean, the story with this guy really is its forgiveness. I mean, it's very fast. TaylorMade drivers always are. But with how much carbon they've put in this head, they are really able to manipulate weight position, CG location, and kind of just maximize the MOIN forgiveness in this head. This isn't the Max where it's the 10,000 MOI version, but the Qi10 Core was my most sold TaylorMade driver this year because it maintained really, really good ball speed, but still was very forgiving.
Sure.
And then in that sim, I would say at the time, it was by far the fastest driver in the market. I mean, the thing was just a rocket off the face. Extremely low spin as well. I think the look, honestly, played a big part into why it was so popular as well. I mean, from the top down, it just looks really, really classic, really, really clean. I think they've kind of modified that, continued that in the Qi10 with this infinity carbon crown. They kind of went from that glossy look again. But, I mean, to this day, I mean, when someone comes with a sim into the bay for a new driver, I am kind of like, all right, we'll try and beat this thing here, but it's a rock-solid driver still. Yeah,
you're not always so sure you're going to beat a sim nowadays, because I have seen and heard lots of the same things about the sim series. And to your point about the look, there's something that was magic about this particular look where they, back with like M1 and M2, this white line at the leading edge was so thick and so distracting almost, where they kind of really refined it and perfected it almost with the SIM series. And then as you mentioned, it's been highly regarded in the years after its release, the entire SIM series, the standard SIM, the SIM Max. And so I'm curious to see what happens today. And I'm also going to try to get your feedback on the feel as well, because we talk about carbon face versus the titanium here of the SIM Max is probably very different. And so that'll be exciting to see as well. But we've got, let's talk about the shaft before we actually get testing. We're going to use what looks like a Ventus there.
Ventus Blue 6X. So this is going to be kind of your mid-launch, low-spin shaft. Compared to other mid-launch shafts, this is definitely on the lower end of things. But in the Ventus line, this is kind of their mid-launcher there. Features the Velocor technology, which really just kind of helps with offline dispersion.
Sure. All right. Well, you ready to hit some shots here?
Let's do it.
Oh, wow.
Not a bad start.
Holy, good start, yeah. That did not move very much.
No.
That ball finished 8 inches offline.
Might be a little more right. Yeah.
Just a little face open action there.
That was a toe ball.
Oh, it was.
Toe ball that didn't really curve back.
Well, you had your first ball ended 8 inches left, and that one was 147 feet, 1 inch right.
That is very representative of my game.
Ooh, some more speed on that one. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
With a little fade.
Yeah.
Saucy little fade from Mr. Montgomery. I think, and I'm not super sure on this, but I think this is going to be a louder and firmer driver.
Yes, absolutely.
Just by what I'm hearing over here, it just sounds louder than, I guess I would say, most of the 2024 drivers out right now, but I think especially the Qi10.
100%. I mean, the audio tuning has come a long way just in the industry overall. I mean, even with like Ping going from G425 to G430, from the SIM into the carbon, like drivers have definitely gotten a lot more muted.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of golfers appreciate. A little left.
A little left. Turned a little bit on you. We've got 5 good swings up there, though. What I'm going to be most curious about with this test particularly is going to be the ball speed and efficiency
Yes.
And then the spin as well, because it's actually kind of nice that you did have one go left and one go right, and that it's actually the ball that went right was spin rate. It was off the toe, you said.
9,200. Again, it was that kind of toe ball,
It's a
so it
little
really
off the
didn't
toe,
spin.
but you have a total, carry average of 266.7, total 297.2. So the ball is certainly going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 158.7 on the average ball speed, 147 smash is pretty darn good. That you're efficient and consistently efficient with it. Anything else that jumps out at you with the SIM Max? So
I mean, like I said, that ball that went 300, even though I didn't hit it the best, doesn't shock me. The SIM is very, very fast off the face. The ball speed with it was really kind of what made it king back in the day. I wouldn't say it's the most forgiving as far as offline dispersion goes.
Yeah.
You kind of saw that they really kind of leaked right and left on there. So I'm curious to see with the kind of higher MOI design of the Qi10, how much tighter is that dispersion going to be?
Yeah, and we talked a bit about it already, but like you certainly felt kind of what you perceived as a firmer feel.
Yes.
Versus maybe other drivers that you either currently play or have tested. Okay, interesting. Or I'm going to be interested to see then your feedback on this, and also the sound with the Qi10. I imagine it'll be a lot softer.
For sure.
All right, so Qi10.
Yes.
Obviously a different look. We got the
100%.
kind of the all black glossy infinity carbon crown. Shape-wise, any big differences there?
The shape honestly looks very, very similar. That kind of higher pronounced toe, kind of a sharper inline from the heel there. It looks very traditional for a TaylorMade driver. I would say this definitely looks a lot cleaner with that kind of infinity crown, the glossy finish. Even with the blue face, like them going from that kind of bright red to more darker blue, it looks a lot more just kind of like a standard driver face on there. Besides that kind of white line they added up top there, which I actually really like a lot because it allows you to square the driver up very confidently.
Yeah, it's kind of, it works in the same way that white stripe on the SIM does as sort of an alignment aid almost, where you can kind of tell, okay, if the driver face is open or closed, you can see by how that line is sitting. But yeah, they've definitely kind of made it certainly cleaner and more traditional, and just the pure looks of it.
100%.
Despite, because with the Stealth and Stealth 2, there was that bright red, and for a lot of players, it was kind of distracting almost to see this kind of big red, figure down there at address.
That was pretty solid.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
Interesting. Hit it solid. Some good speed.
Still pretty good distance out of it.
Yeah. Well, you kind of had one over there with the SIM Max too.
Yeah. I think that was another.
That is
kind of
definitely
heel
some
strike
surprising curvature given your traditional shape.
Yeah. That one I hit pretty good.
Yeah. Some speed there for sure.
There
yeah,
we
that's
go.
a really good ball. 161.5 might be the highest speed I've seen today.
Yes.
Couple swings in now. Talk to me. We theorized that the feel and the sound would be softer.
Yes, it's definitely softer, but it's not unresponsive. I could tell that I hit that ball on the heel, that first one that kind of leaked out to the right there. So, there are definitely a lot of players out there that don't want something that feels super soft because they want to know where they're hitting it on the face when they're on the range or out playing, so they can kind of adjust to that. So you're not losing that feel. But that last one there I hit in the middle, that one kind of felt like a marshmallow.
Right, yeah.
It really just springs out the face.
Yeah, I think you're right about the concern that some players have of something that's too soft, and then you can't really even feel where you hit it on the face.
Yep.
And all of a sudden your ball is not going where you think it should, and it's like,
what happened there?
So that's probably an extreme description of what happens, but there are times with a very soft feeling face that that feedback is not there.
Yep, absolutely.
Some more good speed again. Look at that one. Ooh.
Yeah, wow.
You're also getting a little bit warmed up here too. That club speed is a little bit higher, but still you're very efficient though. Like you're more efficient so far.
Yes.
With the Qi10.
Ball speed and spin rate so far has been a little better.
Yep.
That one's probably going to go a little more left on me. Yep.
A little bit.
Honestly, I was expecting that to hook into the bunkers with how that felt. So.
Yeah, it fought it enough.
Yeah. There's the ball speed.
Holy speed.
Oh,
and that one
just
dove
left
out
the
to the
hands
right
open.
too. Left the hands open. Wow. Look at that dispersion. That's fun.
Yeah.
So we'll talk dispersion later because there's some things to maybe go over there. But any further feedback on the feel and sound really? Otherwise, I mean, we talked about it already that the Qi10 does feel a little bit softer and probably sound just a little bit more muted. I think largely because of the different face material on that. Now, numbers wise, you definitely picked up that club speed 2 miles an hour, but you were more efficient too, which I think goes to show, maybe you talked about how the all carbon construction allows TaylorMade to really optimize the weighting throughout.
Yes.
So maybe you can see some of that here where you can kind of go at it a little bit more and still feel confident that you're going to be efficient even if you miss the center of the face.
100%. I'd also say, I mean, it's minor, but the spin was a little bit more consistent there. There wasn't as much variation.
Yeah.
I just flat out put better swings on the sim than I did the Qi10.
Yeah.
Now, the dispersion on it is similar. I mean, it's spread-wise. So this definitely kind of helped me rein things in a little bit more. There were a couple shots of the sim that I was a little surprised with how far off target they went. Whereas with the Qi10, there were a few where I was kind of surprised it didn't go as far off target as I was expecting it to.
Yeah, especially I think you're talking about
that left one
this
there.
one here.
That one I thought was going to hook short of the bunker the way that it felt.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of not even a Healy ball necessarily, but it's sort of you trapped it almost.
Yeah,
and you kind of
100%.
thought it was going to dive out there to the right. So I mean, the dispersion pattern itself is actually pretty close across the board here.
Yeah.
But yeah, this shot in particular, you noticed right away. You thought that was going to be total duck hook trap, and go into these sort of bunkers over here, and it avoided those.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were hitting more efficiently with the Qi10. I mean, this one here, 149. You got a 148. You only were able to get over 146, I think, just the one time here with the SIM Max. So, but across the board, we're looking at just numbers, very similar.
Yes, very much so.
Launch angle was almost identical. The peak height average was almost identical. Landing angle is almost identical. So I think where we noticed things for you, and this, this is a pretty small sample size to test, but you swung it faster, but also you were more efficient with the ball speed. Maybe your misses were a little bit better with the Qi10 here, but still some really good performance from the SIM Max as well. Like, they're both really fast.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like we said, the sim is a fantastic driver. Just because it's 5 years old does not mean that it's obsolete by any means.
No.
If you're coming in for a used driver, I would absolutely recommend looking at a sim.
Yeah, it continues to be. I mean, it's still used a lot on tour, and you
100%.
don't. There's a few drivers out there that will do that. G400 was one of them, I know, and still is one of them that players are still using several years later. The Sim and Sim Max models are another example of that. Maybe Qi10 will be similar based on what we see here. Slightly better performance and more speed. But either way, great options. As the tail end of 2024 here, we've got the Qi10 fittings. People getting fit into those, and they've been awesome. But as you said, the used selection of Sim and Sim Max drivers as well. Really great options. So, Jake, thanks for joining, hitting the shots today, giving the insight. Really good test here. We saw some notable differences, but also at the end of the day, the technology is still pretty close. Where the performance is if it's a dollars and cents thing for a Sim and Sim Max, really good options. So, Thank you, sir.
No problem.